At the beginning of the story, we see a man named Dalton Russell sitting in a prison cell, saying to the camera that his name is Dalton Russell and that he is inside this cell. He says that he planned a perfect bank robbery and successfully carried it out. But he did not commit this robbery only for money. He also did it to prove himself. Now, to know how he executed it, you will have to listen to his story. With this, the scene shifts into the past, and we see a van picking up a few people from different locations. All of them are dressed like painters and are wearing masks on their faces. The van stops near the Manhattan Trust Bank. Then we see that there are many people inside the bank, all busy with their own work. Just then, we see Russell entering the bank through the main gate, holding a high-density torch in his hand. He places it on a table right in front of the security camera and turns it on, because of which the camera footage gets blocked. Then we see his other partners also enter the bank, all dressed as painters. After entering, they shut the gate, which makes the security guard slightly suspicious. But before he can do anything, Russell comes up behind him at gunpoint and throws a smoke bomb, filling the bank with smoke. The robbers then order everyone at gunpoint to lie down on the floor. Meanwhile, a police officer notices smoke coming out of the bank and becomes suspicious. As he tries to go inside, Dalton points a gun from within and warns that everyone inside has been taken hostage, and if the police enter, they will start killing the hostages. The officer then calls NYPD headquarters for backup and summons a police team. After arriving, they assess the situation and block off the entire area. In the meantime, the bank owner, Arthur Case, is informed about the robbery, and this news makes him anxious. He calls a high-power broker, Madeline White, and asks her to solve the case because there are some very important items of his in a locker at that branch. Madeline asks him what exactly is in that locker, and he tells her that it contains some family heirlooms that he does not want to fall into anyone else's hands. Madeline assures him that the job will be done. In another scene, we see Frazier and Mitchell, who work for the hostage negotiation team, talking to each other. Frazier is a smart and experienced cop, but there is an inquiry going on against him regarding an old case, which is why he cannot do much in this case, yet he agrees to go along with them. Frazier then speaks with Captain Darius in the van, who is in charge of the case. Darius tells them that they still do not know how many hostages are inside the bank or how many suspects there are. Frazier tells Darius that if he is given all the details of the case, he can bring everything under control. After that, they go out to have dinner. Meanwhile, the robbers take the hostages downstairs toward the safe room, where they separate the bank employees and the other hostages into different lines. Dalton tells all the hostages to take out their handbags, mobile phones, and keys and hold them in their hands so they can collect everything and put it into a bag. One bank employee refuses to hand over his phone and says that he forgot it at home. Dalton does not believe him and questions him strictly, but the man sticks to his story. Dalton then checks another employee's phone and finds that the first employee's number is on speed dial. When he calls it, the phone rings inside the office itself. Seeing this, Dalton takes the man into the office and beats him severely. This terrifies the other hostages, and they hand over whatever items they still had. A child gives Dalton his video game, but Dalton kindly returns it to him. After this, Dalton makes everyone stand together again and then separates them according to gender, ordering them to remove all their clothes except their undergarments. An old lady refuses to undress, so one female robber takes her into a separate room. Meanwhile, the other robbers give the remaining hostages identical suits and masks to wear, which they had brought with them. After some time, an old bank employee who has a heart condition begins to feel uneasy. Seeing this, Dalton and his partners allow him to leave the bank. As soon as he comes outside, the police order him to kneel down. They then apprehend him and ask about the situation inside. He tells them that if the police enter, the robbers will kill 2 hostages. Meanwhile, the robbers check the remaining hostages and inspect the entire bank. Passing through the safe room and lockers, they reach the back room where office supplies are stored. Later, we see one robber digging into the floor inside the bank. During this time, Darius informs Frazier and Mitchell about the man who is allowed to leave. The man tells them that there are 4 robbers inside. Darius says that he is waiting for the bank's pre-robbery video footage so he can accurately assess the situation inside. He also tells them that all calls from the bank have been diverted to them, and now it is up to Frazier to decide what to do next. Frazier feels that it is not the right time to talk to the robbers yet because he wants to see what their next move will be. While waiting, Mitchell finds the robbers' van parked outside, which they assume is stolen. Eventually, after some time, Frazier is ready to talk to Dalton and calls the bank, but Dalton does not pick up the phone. By then, the security camera footage arrives and they begin checking it, but find no clues because the robbers had already blinded the cameras using the lights they brought with them. Suddenly, there is some commotion in front of the bank, and all the police officers rush in that direction. At the same time, Madeline goes to meet the mayor of New York. She tells him that she needs his help for one of her clients, as she is monitoring the hostage situation on their behalf. She asks him to arrange a way for her to enter the bank and also to assign some police officers for her safety. Initially, the mayor clearly refuses, but after much insistence from Madeline, he agrees. Meanwhile, the robbers release another hostage along with a message. As soon as the hostage comes out, the police sees him. He is a Sikh, but by mistake they assume him to be an Arab terrorist, remove his turban, and insult his religion. They roughly detain him and take him to a restaurant for questioning. The Sikh man is very angry, but somehow they manage to calm him down. He then tells them that there are at least 20 to 30 hostages inside and that the robbers are foreigners. After this, they read the message sent with the hostage. It states that the robbers want 2 buses and a jumbo jet to be delivered by 9 o'clock, and if their demands are not met, 1 hostage will be killed every hour. It also says that the bank has been rigged from the inside with plastic explosives. The police send a message to the bank phone in which Darius says that they cannot arrange a jet, but a bus might be possible. However, Fraser says that until the robbers talk to them, they will get nothing, not even a cup of coffee. Meanwhile, Case suddenly arrives and says that he might be able to help, asking about the robbers' demands. When the cops tell him that the robbers want a plane, he says that he might be able to arrange one. All the cops are shocked. Case wants to stay there and personally observe the situation and its progress, but they convince him to leave. Meanwhile, another message arrives from the robbers saying they want food. The police see this as a good opportunity because along with the food, they could send some devices to listen in on the conversations inside. The tapping device in charge suggests sending pizza because people would gather in one place to eat and talk, allowing them to learn more about the situation inside. When Fraser asks about the device, she explains that it is a digital device that can record for 30 seconds. Meanwhile, one hostage tries to act smart, and the robbers beat him and drag him into the room where office supplies are kept. After some time, the ordered food arrives. Under Fraser's supervision, everything is delivered to the robbers, and he introduces himself to Dalton. Fraser tells Dalton that he wants to talk if he picks up the phone, but Dalton says nothing. After this, the police try to listen to the conversations inside using the audio device, and they realize that the robbers are speaking in a different language. Fraser guesses that it might be Russian. He then sends Mitchell to ask the released hostage whether he heard anyone speaking Russian inside the bank. Meanwhile, inside the bank, the robbers take one female hostage and lock her in another room, while the female robber takes her place and pretends to be a hostage. Similarly, they lock another woman in a third room. Finally, we see the real female robber digging a hole in the supply room. On the outside, the cops talk to a police officer who knows Russian. He says that the recorded language sounds like Russian but is actually Bulgarian, which is spoken in Central Europe. At that moment, Fraser gets an idea and plays the recording in a crowded public area so that if anyone passing by understands the language, they can contact them. His idea works. A construction worker recognizes the language and says it is Albanian because his ex-wife was from Albania. Hearing this, they try to contact the Albanian consulate but fail. Eventually, they have the construction worker call his wife and bring her in. After understanding the situation, she takes advantage of the moment and asks to have her parking fine waived. Fraser asks her to carefully listen to the recording and tell them what is being said. The woman laughs and says that she not only knows what is being said, but also who the speaker is. The police become very eager to know everything, but their excitement soon turns into disappointment when they learn that the voice belongs to a former communist president of Albania and Varaska, and the recording is from one of his old speeches. They realize that the robbers are very clever. The robbers must have discovered the device hidden in the food packets and played the random tape just to confuse them. Meanwhile, inside the bank, Dalton checks all the safes one by one, but does not take anything from any of them. Shortly after, we see him and one of his partners open a safe deposit box. Inside, they find a document, a small pouch filled with diamonds, and a Cartier ring. Dalton keeps the documents with himself, while his partner puts the other items back into the box. At the same time, the mayor arrives with Madeline and goes into a van parked outside the bank to speak with the detectives. They introduce themselves, and Madeline briefly explains the purpose of her visit. Fraser does not seem interested in taking her help, so they try to blackmail him regarding his old case. Fraser then agrees. After some time, Dalton picks up Fraser's call, but the conversation leads nowhere as Dalton simply repeats that if his demands are not met, he will kill the hostages. The second conversation also goes the same way. Fraser feels that if he can somehow buy some time from the robbers, it will be easier to come up with a strategy. Thinking this, he offers food again, and Dalton asks for sandwiches. After that, the robbers check the hole they have dug in the supply room, which is going to be a major part of their robbery plan. After speaking directly with Dalton, Fraser also lets Madeline talk to him. Madeline convinces Dalton to meet her face-to-face, and Fraser escorts her to the bank. He is worried that Madeline might do something wrong, but she assures him that she will handle everything everything. When she enters the bank, she looks around and then walks toward Dalton. During their conversation, she offers him a lighter sentence and $2 million in exchange for the safe deposit box. Dalton tells Madeline that he knows who she is working for and that he also knows Case. He says that Case was a Nazi collaborator during World War II while he was working in Switzerland. Madeline tells him that she just wants to see what is inside the deposit box. Dalton then makes a deal with her. He will keep it with himself, and if he gets caught in this robbery, she and her boss will help get him out in exchange for that box. When Madeline comes out of the bank, she tells Fraser that she has given the robbers another offer, which they are considering. When Fraser asks her about Dalton, she says that he is very smart but not a murderer. For some time, the three cops discuss Dalton among themselves, trying to reach a conclusion. Fraser feels that sitting outside and talking like this will not solve anything, so he decides to go inside the bank. He calls Dalton and tells him that if he allows him to enter the bank to check on the hostages, they can provide him with a jet. Dalton agrees. After this, we see Fraser entering the bank. They take him to the hostage room, where he sees that all the hostages are safe. He asks everyone whether they have seen the robbers' faces, and everyone says no. He then promises them that he will get them all out safely. Before leaving, Fraser talks to Dalton face to face. He tries to distract him and pull off his mask, but another robber arrives just in time and stops him. Angered by Fraser's action, Dalton again demands the bus. After that, he goes into the supply room and asks his partner how much more time he will need. His partner replies that it will take another 2 to 3 hours to finish. On the outside, Fraser returns to the van and tells Darius that Dalton is not a killer and that they should wait a little longer to understand his next move. Meanwhile, they receive a call from Dalton, who asks them to point the cameras toward the window. When they do, they see Dalton holding a gun and shooting a hostage dead. Considering this incident to be Fraser's failure, Darius takes complete control of the case and plans to send the tactical team into the bank as soon as possible. However, sending the tactical team inside the bank is a major challenge. To ensure that no lives are lost, using rubber bullets is the only solution. Mitchell feels that if anything goes wrong, Fraser will be held responsible, but Fraser says that he had a deal with Madeline and that he will prove to be a good detective. Before Darius sends a tactical team into the bank, Fraser finds out that the robbers have been listening to all their conversations through a transmitter placed in a drawer. He asks Darius to inform the captain, but Darius ignores him and moves forward with his plan. Inside the bank, Dalton, having heard everything, throws smoke grenades and gets all the hostages out of the bank before the cops can enter. As soon as they come out, the tactical team orders all the hostages to lie down on the ground and then arrests them. After that, they enter the bank to capture the robbers and to bring out any dead bodies if found. They check all the rooms, including the safes and the supply room, but find nothing anywhere. When Darius, Mitchell, and Fraser arrive, the tactical team leader tells them that they found no hostage bodies and that nothing is missing from the bank. The cops also realize that all of the robbers' weapons were actually toys and that the killing of the hostage was just a staged act. Meanwhile, the police take all the hostages along with the robbers hidden among them to the police station for questioning. The robbers had blended in so well with the hostages that no one could tell who was a hostage and who was a robber. Therefore, Fraser's captain tells him that this case no longer makes sense because nothing was stolen and no one was caught. Fraser did not expect this, but he could not give up either. When he inspects all the lockers and safes, he discovers that the details of that particular safe deposit box are missing. He then meets Madeline and plays the recording for her in which the mayor and Madeline were blackmailing him. He tells her that he will not tell anyone about the recording, but in return, he wants information about that box. Madeline gives him a small hint and asks him to end the matter there. Later, she meets Case and tells him that there is no need to worry about Fraser. The documents will not fall into his hands because Dalton took them with him as collateral so that if he is ever caught, he can use that box to secure their help in getting out. Madeline knows that besides the documents, the safe also contained diamonds. Case tells her that the box also had a Cartier ring that belonged to his Jewish friend, whom he saved from the Nazis because the Nazis had offered him a huge amount of money for it. After that, he pays Madeline her fee and sends her off. The scene then shifts, and we see Dalton back in the same prison cell where he has been narrating the entire story of his robbery, explaining how he carried out such a massive heist while sitting inside a room. This was the same cell that his partners had created by digging a hole in the supply room and hiding it behind a trick wall. Now Dalton has the diamonds, the ring, and the documents. He breaks through the trick wall and walks out, easily exiting through the bank's front gate like a normal client. His partners are waiting for him in a car outside the bank. As Fraser and Mitchell are entering the bank, Dalton bumps into Fraser while leaving, but Fraser does not recognize him. When Fraser later opens the deposit box inside the bank by court order, he finds chewing gum, the Cartier ring, ring and a note that reads, "Follow the ring." Frasier goes to Case to talk about the box because he suspects that there must be a dark reason behind the secret. Case cleverly tries to answer all his questions, but Frasier shows him the ring and says that the day he finds out everything about this ring, he will expose all of his secrets. After that, when he meets Mitchell, the two of them laugh and are very happy that they have shown Case's place. Later, Frasier goes to the mayor's lunch with Madeline, shows them the Cartier ring, and also gives them the number of the Washington, D.C. War Crimes Issues Office so that Madeline can get the false charges against her removed. In return, he gives Madeline her recording back. Friends, don't forget to subscribe to our Film Unlocked channel.